Namaskara, salam alaikum. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Commoners Perspective.
Commoners
Commoners
reaction.
React. Commoners React. It actually sounds like a good reaction name. Anyways,
Yeah.
like Elders React, Commoners React. But anyways, um, today we're gonna pick, I think, a relatively new channel. If I'm not wrong, it's around 3 to 6 months old. It's called the Gravel Institute. For those of you who are
It's 1 year.
entirely into the socialist communist movements and part of the wave that's going on now across, I would say, America and as a result, perhaps the world. Maybe you already been recommended a few of these videos on your YouTube. Or I, watching a lot of political channels, already got the recommendation. But before I say anything further, I would welcome Chintan. What's up?
Hi, hi, hi. The channel is 1 year old, by the way.
Oh,
Gravel
okay,
Institute.
okay, okay.
Yeah, they
I
have
think I
like
judged that based on
yeah, they have
go
like
on.
12, 14 videos.
Right. I judged them based on a few videos. I think I thought there are a few videos, so they're probably a few months old. But
Yeah,
okay,
the one which
okay,
we are gonna watch is like came out in October last year, so
sure,
and the
sure.
latest is 18
So
hours old, so
right, the late the one small description I'll give about the channel is that they started as a counter channel to PragerU, as described in one of their videos,
see this
and
description of theirs. See the description.
what does it say? Be proper. Right, there you go.
Infrastructure
So
to
PragerU and
build right-wing propaganda outlets like PragerU
right,
on their own terms.
uh, right, right. Exactly on the answer. So yeah, probably a disclaimer. I'm kind of right of center, and I'm part of the neoliberal group, and I'm about free markets and everything. But whatever I believe in, if I have a strong opinion on something, I tend to look at the contrarian views to any of my views. It's just a way to keep informed and understand. So I watch a lot of socialist videos, and Richard, what's his name?
Feynman.
Uh, huh?
Feynman, no?
No. This professor,
Dawkins.
the socialist professor.
Oh,
No. The
socialist.
guys we
Oh, this
the
guy,
video we
the
just
guy,
saw.
Wolf,
Wolf,
Richard.
Richard Wolf, I think Richard Wolf. That's right. So I watch a few of his videos because he seems to be the most popular socialist economist on YouTube at the moment. So just to keep myself informed of the ideas and the counter arguments to the Milton Friedman and other ideas. Either way, I found it interesting. I've seen a few which I thought wouldn't be appropriate to react to because you wouldn't get original reaction, first time reaction because we already saw the videos. So I picked one with a good title. It says Capitalism and Freedom, or Does Capitalism Mean Freedom? Which is a common argument from the neoliberal side. And I thought it'd be a good video. Chintatha was a good one. I just suggested that. He was fine with it. So I think we could react to that. And yeah, maybe we can start that or
Okay, I'm starting.
let's go.
Capitalism means freedom. With the
Oh,
liberty of the free market, the thinking goes.
okay.
If you're an American, you've probably heard this one before. Capitalism means
Can you mute
freedom.
yourself on
With the
speaker?
liberty of the free market, the thinking goes, individuals are empowered to make their own decisions. Sounds good, right? If you buy into this logic, then any alternative with more rule for the public seems oppressive and tyrannical. One where other people make all the decisions for you. Appealing in theory. In practice, not true. Our economy isn't about freedom at all, just the opposite. American capitalism today is defined by an overwhelming lack of freedom for the vast majority of people and incredible dictatorial power for a few people at the very top. That's because we have allowed big corporate monopolies to take over a lot of the work of government and replace public institutions with private for-profit ones. They have gobbled up small and medium-sized businesses so they can set all the terms. You hear a lot about the freedom to choose, but what does that freedom really mean? Sure, we can choose between different eyeglass companies until we learn they're all owned by the same company behind the scenes. We can choose between Budweiser, Skoal, or Beck's beer, but they're all owned by the same company too. And when it comes to work, where most people spend most of their time, people don't have much freedom at all. Despite claims that workers freely enter into a contract to sell their labor, there's no free choice between working and not working. In a country like ours, where 40% of people can't scrape together $400 in an emergency, the reality is that you either work or you starve. You don't have several months to take time off and carefully choose a good employer. In order to survive, people submit to working menial, unrewarding jobs for little pay, no security, and bad benefits. And once they're on the job, that lack of freedom only gets worse. When we go to work, we check our hard-won rights at the door, and your employers rule over you night and day. Big corporations like Amazon punish workers for speaking out. Many corporations are now spying on workers' political activities. They intrude into people's private lives, monitor their social media, and regulate their breaks. In poultry plants across the country, workers are penalized for simply using the bathroom, to the point that they wear adult diapers and avoid drinking water so as to keep working. That's not freedom. And when the boss decides to fire you, there's no due process. Like a feudal lord, he can fire and punish workers at will. In practice, American workplaces are like private governments, where the freedoms we associate with democracy don't exist. When we clock in, we become subjects, not citizens. Without anti-monopoly regulations to restrict their size, or labor unions to contest their power over employees, corporations and their wealthy CEOs have as much power over ordinary people as any government agency, if not more. Despite the lie that our market is free, most industries are dominated by a few massive firms. 2 corporations control office supplies. 5 corporations control food. 2 corporations dominate retail. 4 corporations control home internet. 1 corporation dominates books. Instead of free competition, the status quo is monopoly control. Huge corporations set the terms and manage the economy from their perch at the top of the market, deciding who succeeds and who fails. When Facebook decides to promote a political agenda to benefit itself, who can stop them? When Amazon decides it doesn't like a particular book, that book can vanish from the place most everyone buys books. When Pfizer decides to raise insulin prices ahead of a shareholders meeting, it's done, and people die as a result. Every day, decisions that affect millions of people are made not by everyone in a democratic manner, but by unelected people who have profits and not the well-being of others in mind. That's the problem at the heart of our system. Elected officials are always expressing concern about government intrusion into our private lives. But they're happy to let corporations take advantage of us in ways that would be unconstitutional for any democratic government. The hard truth is that despite what you hear, the modern American economy is not about the freedom to choose. In job markets where you either get a job or you die, in workplaces where the boss is king, and in marketplaces dominated by huge abusive monopolies, you don't have much of a choice at all. I'm Zephyr Teachout, professor of law at Fordham Law School for the Gravel Institute. Thank you for watching this video. If you believe in our mission, please consider becoming a patron of the Institute or making a one-time contribution.
I mean, it's like proper full left, full bashing. Crazy.
Yeah, I know that was dark.
Yeah.
Scary. That's how the counter videos are too. If you go to PragerU videos, they're pretty straightforward as well. Yeah, they could seem pretty right. So I'm not surprised. But my first thought I'll say is reminds me of a concept, but I've always had this, and I said it. I've always thought about this. It's not that the first time I'm thinking about this, but it's like there's this sociologist called Isaiah Berlin, dead. You guys, he had an idea of the two kinds of freedom. He called it negative and positive freedom, and it has Isaiah Berlin like the city. Yeah. So negative and positive freedom. It has nothing to do with ethics of negative and positive freedom. Both freedoms are required for everyone, but negative freedom had to do. I'm not sure which is what, but one of the freedom, and let's call it negative freedom, had to do with your uh, your your natural freedom, right? To make the free to choose, like they say,
Mm-hmm.
freedom of choice and do what you want, right? The freedom, no one should restrict what you want to do as long as it doesn't invade into the others' freedom. The positive freedom would be one which you're given because of your circumstances. The circumstance one is self self freedom, right? From yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is from your environment. Your circumstances limit your freedom not to do something, to do or not to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So in
uh,
this case, the corporate's limiting you.
corporates, yeah, the corporates or the system, the social system, it could be the corporates. I'd also pick on one thing though. She partly talked about even governments being involved. She said corporates and government
Yeah.
officials being involved. So both have a role to play there when it comes to restricting this kind of freedom.
Yeah.
Uh, so um, Right. So stuff like food and water, right? That would come under positive freedom. I'm not sure which is positive, which is negative, but that would come under one of the freedoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Food and water,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like, that's not a choice. I need that to be free for the other freedom, right? So the question is, how do I get that freedom? And that's where governments come in. Do you want governments to do it, to private control and stuff like that? That's where the confusion comes.
Socialism.
It
Mm-hmm.
was his, yeah, right. It was his socialism in the general context.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because just for those who would be listening and they'd want to be pedantic and say that's not socialism and all that thing. So, I mean, Richard Wolff himself, there's a video is socialism is when the government do stuff, and he
Right.
was ironically saying it sarcastically, making fun of the people who define socialism that way. But we are those people who define socialism
I
that way.
mean,
Let's just say that.
me rather,
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah, no, me too, me too. To a large extent, when I use the word, I mean it that way. Yeah, I'm a commoner too, man. Don't worry about it. But but so what I was just thinking of saying is um, I don't know. Like, I get the corporations and all that. Yeah, I get what she was saying in that sense. But I don't know if there is it to blame the capitalist system or is it to blame the government's involvement that's giving them the power? Is Amazon able to stay in power because of their payments to the governments and control to that? Uh, like Facebook, they mentioned Facebook, right? This is the same thing. I mean, as of right now, as we're talking, as we release this video, there's a more recent incident regarding what she said with Twitter and Twitter banning people from right wing post the Capitol Hill attack and all that. So, uh, a lot of the left wing, the real left wing, right? Not the left of center people, but not the AFC supporters, maybe, but more to do with the Jimmy Dore and super lefts, the progressives. They were saying how Twitter shouldn't have that power and take it away. And I think some in the right also were agreeing with that. They shouldn't have the ability to. But like again, I'm not sure. Like with the internet, there's so much competition. There's so much variety and so many sources where you can put your voice out there. I don't know if the government should come in and control, regulate that and decide who gets to ban who and what does each one get to do. Although, as I say that, I should put a disclaimer that I don't agree with the fact that Twitter banned anyone from the website. They shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's unethical, but it's not unethical enough that the government should intervene. I think that's what I'm trying
You're
to say.
saying they're private, since they're private, they should be still allowed to do it.
Yeah, and the fact is and the fact primary kind of that, but it's not just that. It's the fact that Twitter reached where it is based on it doing what it did. No one supported the government didn't fund it. No one did.
Yeah.
It's I would say it's largely merit. It has a lot to do with the merit of the people, the whole team, sure, the laborers and everything
True.
involved in that company, but it didn't have to do with government intervention and all that. So let them make the choices to perpetuate their company whatever they decide fit because it was their judgments that ran the company.
But the
Now
argument, I
I
guess,
might have
is that it's affecting like large parts of the population, right? So that's when like it needs intervention. I mean, that's the argument, like at least, I guess.
yeah the question yeah but then that's the thing, is it worth the trade-off? Is it worth government intervening? Now how far do they regulate and how hard do they legislate? And now when it's and if the government has that power, then we're talking about governments controlling it, and maybe the governments won't do a perfect job of banning and not banning people, because that gets political. Because and it's not like there is no other. They haven't. like I say, the internet is a near infinite resource when it comes to space or something. There are a lot of other alternatives for Trump, for example, to come online and post something. Uh, Especially when it comes to internet businesses and stuff, I feel that's the case. Amazon, they might have a point, but I really think that too has to do with some favor from the governments in terms of tax breaks and some kind of regulation, some kind of lobbyists they're paying in order to form laws to support them and facilitate their business. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but there's also a lot of merit. Amazon did something other companies didn't do. They did a facility that everyone wants to
Yep.
use.
Yep.
It's not like we don't. You could say we don't have a choice to use Amazon, but like for maybe in books, I don't know about books, but for everything else, you can buy it from other companies. Like in America, for example, you have Walmart, and if you Google, I'm sure you'll find at least two, three other companies.
Mhm.
So and the question is, why can't someone else? What's preventing someone else from coming and starting up? And she went into so many things we could get into because there was a 5 minute wait. She says for other companies, she says these big corporates come and end up buying these small ones.
Yeah.
Might be a problem. I guess
No,
it's a
that's
problem, but they do pay a price for it.
no, that's what it seemed like. The
Like,
video was like
yeah,
mainly just all negative points, obviously, no positive points at all.
it,
So
it can't. That's the whole point, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I guess
yeah,
that's why we need to
yeah.
react to in the PragerU one of those videos, maybe just like
right,
counter
right,
arguments.
right, right. Yeah, but yeah, PragerU is not my primary source for my ideas, but I would use Milton Friedman as a
Right.
better counter argument any day. The master of persuasion, if you ask me, like I've told you before. But yeah, I would have loved to see a discussion between Richard Wolff and Milton Friedman, but unfortunately they live in different times, different generations. But
But yeah, I mean, like,
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, very
Yeah,
interesting for sure. I mean,
yeah.
that's what, as I said, like when you list out only negatives, you just, I don't know, you sometimes
It's
can't
hard
take
for
the,
you to be convinced or listen or
yeah.
believe what they're saying to a large
No, as
extent,
in
right?
like
Because
you
it
can
seems like
believe, but it's just not convincing enough, I guess. Like,
right, perhaps. Perhaps. For me, it's like I'm looking for negatives, but now I'm looking for the negatives to the negatives. It's like that for me.
right.
The reason I went to this channel in the first place is because I have this, like, I have a strong opinion of free market capitalism and the neoliberal movements and all that. So I'm looking for counter arguments. And then I found arguments which I didn't hear because I haven't heard the socialist perspective and I'm yet to read Marx. I'm yet to learn free market capitalism properly, so it'll take a while for me to learn anything from Marx and all that. So, so yeah, the question again, I think we should get to the fundamental title, which it's the fundamental point that the title is making, which is capitalism freedom. Uh, yeah, so the reason I brought up negative and positive freedom is because of that. So capitalism might be respecting one of those freedoms, the freedom of choice and making my own decisions and not government pushing me in a certain direction and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't seem to be addressing the other freedom, the positive freedom, if I can call it that, where of food, water, basic poverty, access to basic
The
survival
basic benefits,
facilities.
basically, the benefits that they were
Yeah.
talking about, doesn't include
uh,
these things, rather, I guess.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't call it benefits because you don't
Yeah,
want to call water or food a
true,
benefit.
true,
So
true, true.
I guess what I said facility, but even that's not the correct
Basic
word.
necessities, basically.
Provisions. Let's call it provisions. Yeah, basic provisions, I guess,
Yeah.
and necessities. So, so, again, the counter argument to that is um, that the government intervention makes it worse. Access to the optimal way to do it is capitalism, but. I also think we didn't address each of the points she made specifically. But she made so many, it's difficult to do that. She
Yeah.
talked about corporations and all that. We touched upon some of them, I think.
Uh-huh.
What else did she talked about corporations and primarily that, right? We workers' conditions and all that. The thing is, you can't guarantee better working conditions through government intervention. I don't believe that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like we come from a country in India, like government offices are the worst
Yep,
here.
yep,
They're by far the worst.
yep.
So there's
They're
no
so
respect. There's no
unenthusiastic too.
Yeah,
to work.
unenthusiastic, demotivated, bad quality products,
Hmm.
and they're not treated. The hierarchy, the upper echelons treat you like filth.
Exactly.
You won't get that kind of treatment in a private company in India, for
Exactly.
example. Um, so there are things. It's. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what they mean. I guess we'll have to discover more, and hopefully, as we keep doing these series, we learn a lot more about
No, even
socialism and
here
the
it
core
seems
values.
like the if I go to the DMV and everything, like
Yeah, yeah,
people they don't like treat customers like God, like how the other corporates do.
yes, yeah. Customer's king, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
customers is like is king. I really don't think they treat
yeah.
you that way. Like I've
Right,
had a
right,
couple of like not that great
right,
experiences
right, right.
where
So,
they
so
get
yeah,
like
where does that
annoyed
fit
for
in?
very small things. I'm sorry.
Right, right. No, where does that fit in this argument, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, because they haven't considered the customer. And another thing, who knows how they are treated? It might be a result of the way they are treated by their bosses or
Yeah.
salaries, and so they're just lashing out on their shitty working conditions. So why do that? Mm. So she brought up the diaper thing in Amazon. That made big news, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if that was a choice. Not everyone. I don't know how many cases there are of people wearing diapers and working.
No, but still, if that
Uh,
happens, obviously it's a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying I don't think we are saying the bad things about capitalism. We are not agreeing. Like, so there are bad things. Of
right,
course there are.
right,
Of course there are.
sure, sure. I'm just wondering one whether it's a result of capitalism, or it's a result of indifference of the people around them and those managers, or is the system bad?
I
You
mean,
know,
that way,
a
just like
system.
how we were talking about the exploitation just before we started this reaction, like there
Yeah,
can be places
yeah,
where the CEO or the owners can keep a lot of money and
right,
exploit their workers, which is a very
right.
negative thing of capitalism for sure. If it happens, of
Correct.
course.
Now,
Uh-huh.
right, right. Should that be protected by government or other better capitalists? That's the
No, that's what.
question.
Yeah, yeah,
The capitalist solution to that is competition. You have other capitalists go work, leave that fuck all company and all that.
yeah.
The socialist system is, yeah, get the police and do it. The thing is, governments can't reach everywhere, but I guess even capitalists can't reach everywhere. So I guess they're all filling the empty spaces, something like that. But so getting back to the diaper thing,
Mm-hmm.
one point I want to make is, what if a person wanted to do it willingly? She's willing to work that hard just to get the edge over her competing employees, just to work those extra hours.
Yeah, yeah. No, but then they're complaining, right? So if they're complaining, that
Did they did they complain, or was that a media thing? I don't know.
no, I think there have been
Well, yeah,
complaints too.
yeah. Well, they come.
Because otherwise they wouldn't
Right,
really come out, right? What do you mean? Like
right, right.
it seems more likely that they complain.
Yeah, right, right. So, yeah, okay. Then I guess it's, I don't know. Again, I guess I'm trying to defend capitalism by saying it's probably a bad manager or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to. The only way you can make a fair comparison is if you find the bad incidents of government employees. You're not saying like how the government employees are doing, or those people, how are those working conditions and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, something to think about for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed the video, and apart from the content, the way they
Graphics.
presented it with
Yeah.
the graphics, the music, the music's all this, this modern slick music is pretty
Hmm.
cool, and it's a little, I don't know, some mystery about the music,
Yeah.
think about it types, they're giving you an offer, think about it,
Yeah.
and it was very, very, very well done
She
in that
narrated
sense.
well as well. So
Yeah, I'm sure she's a professional in the topic and discussions surrounding it.
I mean, she seemed
But
pretty
yeah,
like proper bashing, but still.
she's probably a professor. That's
Yeah.
how it is, right? The rights claim of the left-dominated professors. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I guess that's it for this video.
But yeah, that was a good video. Oh god.
Not bad. Good channel. We'll probably react to more videos from this channel
Yep.
in the
Yep.
future
Yep.
too.
Yep. All right. Signing
Yeah.
off.
Take care, guys.
Bye bye.
See you guys.